Let's talk about mental health in modern society. It was already being tested by our stressful and fast-paced lifestyles, and then the pandemic hit. Now we're forced to stay at home in quarantine. The routines that we used to rely on for predictability and stability in our lives vanished. Now the future holds even more unknown, and it may feel like life is falling apart. So where do we go from here? To understand where to go, I think it helps to understand how we got here. Modern technology like our phones and the internet have connected the world in unprecedented ways that our ancestors could only dream of. A lot of good has come from this technology. Information is shared across borders, and the world is more connected than ever before. At the same time, this technology has disconnected us from ourselves. We no longer have to be left alone with our own thoughts anymore. Every time there's a moment of silence or boredom, the phone comes out. And we replace our own thoughts with a constant and curated stream of information from other people. This is the time that used to be reserved for reflection, but we have allowed our devices to eat all of that time up. Our ancestors didn't have to worry about this. They had long periods of silence built into their lives. Naturally, they took this time to reflect on things and change patterns of behavior if something wasn't working out. After all, they were running from predators and facing starvation if they made bad choices. The objective reality of nature forced them to adapt. If they didn't grow, they didn't make it, because the world was a much harsher place back then. A lot has changed since then, but one thing that hasn't changed much is our biology. We have the same brains and bodies that humans have had for tens of thousands of years. For most of human history, those brains and bodies have lived very close to nature. Through the process of evolution, the wilderness has literally shaped us into who we are today. Now we are extremely disconnected from our original home. It's no wonder so many of us are feeling lost and confused. Living in a free society today with extremely high technology at our fingertips has given us more choice than any human population in history. Even personal development is more of a choice than a requirement now. But life is much more rewarding when we strive to become the best versions of ourselves. Now it's up to us to seek out these personal development opportunities, because they aren't built into our lives the same way that they used to be. This can be done anytime and anywhere, but I think the best place to do this is the same place that it's always been, in the wilderness. So what does this all have to do with mental health? Well, just like in nature, if something isn't growing, it's deteriorating. If we aren't putting constant effort into ourselves, we begin to deteriorate. Maintaining our mental health is a long-term and sustained effort, but it keeps us engaged with who we are and where we are in life. When we disconnect from this matrix of social media and news and a toxic relationship with technology, we are able to reconnect with ourselves. So maybe we can look at this quarantine as an opportunity to get back to our roots and to be okay with being alone. This isolation and social distancing that we have all accepted as the new normal doesn't have to be a bad thing. This solitary time is a vital part of personal development. It's an opportunity to explore inward, to understand ourselves better, and to learn to navigate our mental landscape in a healthier way. This pandemic has severely reduced our options, but one thing that we can still do is go outside. We can choose to disconnect from all of the distractions and the background noise that have been replacing every single moment of silence or boredom in our regular lives. In the wilderness, we are left alone with our own thoughts, and all of the mental baggage that we have been carrying around for years begins to bubble up. Without the ability to distract ourselves and ignore these things, we are forced to confront them. This may sound horrible and scary, and no doubt it'll be uncomfortable. But the wilderness reminds us that life isn't about being comfortable all the time. It's about doing things that are so rewarding that the discomfort pales in comparison. So now that we're out here, we begin to dig into these thoughts and feelings, some things that we may have been repressing for a long time. We let them come out into the light and we examine them. They may reveal uncomfortable truths about ourselves, about our relationships, about our lifestyle choices. Maybe these are things that we have known all along. We just didn't want to admit them. Maybe we will discover things about ourselves that we didn't even know they were there. It's going to be hard and uncomfortable, and that's exactly the point. The wilderness reminds us that there are no quick fixes. Hard work and dedication are the only things that will get us up that mountain. So, we accept these realities about our lives, even if we don't want to, because that's the only way to actually make life better. To get where we want to go, we have to first know where we are starting. It's not that the wilderness actually gives us anything. The value of the wilderness experience is kind of measured by what it takes away. It removes everything that's unnecessary. It removes all the distractions that have been sucking up our time and energy. It simplifies life down to its bare necessities. And it gives us the opportunity to decide what's most important and put it in a backpack, because there is no room for anything else. Through this process, it clarifies what our priorities are, and it tells us exactly what matters and why. All the abstractions of our complex and confusing society fall away. By removing all these things, we are left with more time. More time to think, more time to explore, more time to feel, more time to reflect, and ultimately, more time to develop. Obviously, our modern society is not going to go back to the way that our ancestors lived in small hunter-gatherer tribes. We have ascended from that lifestyle to live in a way that would be completely unrecognizable to early humans, which is why we can't simply escape to the wilderness and give up on society altogether. Us modern humans have to find a balance to feed our ancient primal need for wilderness and still be contributing members of a modern society. So the wilderness shouldn't be seen as an escape. It should be looked at as a way to just take a step back from all of this chaos, to return to our roots and put things in perspective, to take stock of our mental health and remember what matters most. Then when we return to that hectic world of cars and internet and skyscrapers and money and jobs, we will be happier, healthier, more well-rounded and resilient individuals.